So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Rifkin's a scumbag, taking forever to load because my game is hanging itself once again.
Oh.
Good times, good times. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lycan League. We're in a brand new best of 3 with two players who are probably a little bit better, a little bit closer in skill, I'd say. Spawning in the top left corner of the map is going to be the orange Zerg player Julie, better known as Tamikis.
The bottom right, as the blue Terran, it's DeMusliM.
Alright, so DeMusliM showed a pretty good game versus Mr. Sean just now, but again, Sean coming into it was already a lower league. We knew this, he knew this. I think he was just trying his best to have a bit of a hurrah while he was at it. Tamikis, however, is a player who could contend with DeMusliM, I'd say, in Heart of the Swarm on pretty even footing. And I definitely imagine so here in Heart of the Legacy of the Void, pardon me.
Well, DeMusliM has been playing a bit of Legacy of the Void, so it's not like he's totally out of the loop. I mean, he dealt with the Ravager Rush pretty handily. And, Tamikis, I don't know if he would really surprise DeMusliM. I mean, one of the big things that people complaining about is that they're facing the same people over and over again. So
Yeah.
I wonder how many times these guys have faced each other.
I think a big part of that too is it's not only just that there's a lack of access right now. You know, folks haven't gotten beta, and there's no keys to be had. It's just Blizzard flagging accounts. But also the fact that a lot of the folks who do have access aren't necessarily prioritizing playing this, and for good reason. They've got WCS to train for. Challenger League comes up in just a week or so. I mean, a lot of these guys like Xenocider, who I know have access to the game, aren't playing it at all.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks a little bit. And what does actually become a little bit worrisome off the back end of that, too, is we already have the regular HOTS ladder being a bit stale. It's a bit of a wasteland. Oh, I think DeMusliM would have won that fight. Well, anyways,
close.
my point leading into this is we already have a HOTS ladder that's hard to sustain player, I guess, versatility on. And when you split that up with the Legacy of the Void one, it takes away from both even more. So instead of two really awesome games with a lot of matches going on, we now have two games that have even less going on than before. Kind of sucks, but I'm hoping that as hype picks up and players become either bored or complacent with one or want to get a taste of a difference from the other, that they'll start swapping back and forth. We'll start seeing more people on the ladder. I know, for example, I bring this up because Hearthstone and I have been talking about getting another Battle of the Ladder Heroes session going on for the month of May, and hopefully that'll help incentivize people to play as well.
Well, I think once they introduce the ladder in the Legacy of the Void, it'll help too.
Yeah, maybe. Big reminder, by the way, DeMusliM is streaming his matches, and I highly recommend you guys check out his first-person point of view. No idea if he's doing commentary during tournament play or not, but he's a lovely fellow to watch. I just request that if you do watch his stream, don't bring spoilers back here.
Yes, quite. Well, the Reaper sees everything it needs to, so he goes ahead and is comfortable getting 3 CC.
Yeah, and as far as what you want to see in Legacy of the Void is lack of a Roach Warren. You don't want to see gases. Basically, anything that tells you you don't have to worry about a Ravager Rush is big thumbs up.
Yeah. Well, he's following up with the Starport. We're seeing a lot of mech play in Legacy of the Void, as it's basically what got buffed. I mean, you can't include Cyclones and Bio play, I suppose, as openers anyways. But it's really about mech. And, you know, mech Zerg was already pretty good, and it's just good now.
Zerg already have a lot of really good ways to deal with the current status of Terran mech, but I really can't wait to start seeing if folks start incorporating the new lurkers or not. Having an innate range of 9 on those things is going to make them so good at trying to basically chunk away at the Cyclones that are diving in for range, to the Hellion masses that tend to accompany them. I mean, right now it's all about the Lings, it's all about the melee upgrades, it's all about those Ultras later on, right? But I would love to see those lurkers start coming to a bit more of a effect.
Yeah, I don't know what they're really going to do against, how well they're going to do against mech.
I feel like because we don't see that many siege tank pushes, I think they'll be pretty good. You know, Terran mech right now is shied away from like this big siege tank Thor Hellback composition. It's more just Cyclone and Hellion. And in that regard, I think the lurkers are actually going to be pretty good. Just because without the targeting optics, and even with the targeting optics, you're going to have a hard time matching the range of the lurker. I mean, to have 9 range built in instead of needing hive tech for it, that's kind of crazy. Vibe was actually using it the other night on his stream. It was really cool to watch. He basically nightest them all over the map. It was pretty disgusting.
I want to see, like, lurker drops again, and lurker nidus rushes. That'd be cool.
DeMusliM with the scan on the main, so you see the layer timing. Pretty nice scan. His opening with the Hellions of the Banshees, armor going down for the Hellbats too. Pretty safe. I mean, without Ravagers actually rushing across the map, you know, even if they come as like a follow-up, you've got Banshees out, you've got some Hellions that can run away. This is up to DeMusliM now just to control the map, not let this creep spree get out of hand.
Yep. We do have Tamika's going for roaches, and I imagine, you know, adding in something later on, but you can stick on roaches for a very long time and get a couple of Ravagers in there just to help out with extra damage, taking out maybe the anti-air if Queens can't do that job. That's exactly what's going on now. Takes a 4th base in the middle of the map. It's up to, I guess it's, you know, up to him to fix this one. Oh, I just assumed that was the 4th.
Yeah,
the 3rd
so did I
right
for a
there.
moment, and I had to double think when you said 4th, and I was like, wait a minute.
Well, that's weird. Why would you do that?
I feel like this base is just so safe too with the cooling tower, but Tamika's probably has his reasons. A couple Ravagers in the mix, gonna get transfused. They are quite squishy as we see, but their damage they deal is quite high. It's not even about that corrosive bile hitting for 60. It's just their natural attack speed, so fast, 0.57. It's a good way to push that back, and DeMusliM does have to turn around and go back home. But ranged weapon upgrades are coming into effect, and while Roach Ravager certainly going to be a really strong early game, this is where I'm getting kind of excited. I'm doing like the thing with my fingers. I'm hoping it's Roach, like Hydras and Lickers.
Nope. Infestation pit.
Why you gotta be like that?
Why does Tamika's have to be like that?
Well, I'm talking to Mika, sorry, not you. Why you gotta put down the infestation pit, man? Why you gotta be that way? Even though he has gone for the investment in the ranged weapon upgrades, even if this isn't for Swarm Host, it'd be kind of cool to see if it was, because Swarm Hosts really aren't being used too well in either Legacy or Heart of the Swarm right now. It could still just be for Hive. Hive tech goes a long way, getting the Vipers out so you can Parasitic Bomb Banshees, Terran players. You know, Supernova showed us the power of those Banshees with speed versus Zerg. You just couldn't keep up with them. And, I don't know, we'll see which direction this takes him. It is going to be Hive for sure, though. The question is what comes from it.
Why are so many, like, Zerg units clumpy? Or not clumpy, like, derpy. The Swarm Host, yeah, the Swarm Host is, like, big and, like, you know, kind of waddles and, you know, now it doesn't have the burrow, but it still looks kind of weird. And you have the Ravager that, like, it's big and derpy.
Oh! Hey! So, maybe my dreams aren't crushed just yet.
Maybe. Maybe Izzy's gonna get the Hive just for, you know, the blinding cloud and they're just gonna be cool.
I mean, okay, right now, let's be honest, Tamika's is getting away with very little. The Roaches and the Ravagers are quite powerful in the early game, but they do start falling off once you start involving units like the Banshees and the Cyclones and whatnot. So the Hellions really haven't been getting into harass, and for good reason. Tamika's has been ready to respond. DeMusliM, however, has a surprisingly low army count. You know, he's really been focused on the economy, getting his production up. 4 extra CCs coming down, for goodness sake. I mean, if this isn't greedy, I don't know what is. But at the same time, he's got to be careful, because Tamika's he's got a formidable force. DeMusliM can't ignore this.
I would just say it's also, like, this isn't the best, easiest map to get 4 or 5 bases, you know? Again, there is no Deadwing in the new map pool. So we see a lot of Terran players that go mech here, they get the 4th base, wherever they get it, you know, maybe in the middle. And then they have difficulty securing the 5th.
This many Banshees is going to absolutely push this back. Just like 2 health, 3 health here. Not enough anti-air in the world to stop these. Well, I guess one Banshee goes down, but Hydra's coming out next. Still no Hydra Den. It is going to be a lot of Vipers. And because we've been seeing heavier Banshee play incorporated, this is where I'm really hoping. You know, we've seen players like Bly and others use Vipers or Blinding Clouds. Some Docs, great, good. But it's the Parasitic Bomb I get hyped about because it's so ridiculous right now, and I don't think we've actually seen it in pro play yet.
I guess not. Only we've used it.
Yeah. Parasitic Bomb, by the way, is the new ability of the Vipers have, I guess, to inform those who haven't been following the game. And while it does retain its old abilities like Blinding Cloud and like Abduct, Parasitic Bomb does a lot of damage in an area of effect to air units only. And if that unit dies, it hangs there in the air for the rest of the duration. So basically, if 3 Banshees are stacked on top of each other, you Parasitic Bomb 2 of them, all 3 are likely to die.
We'll get a lot of Hydras coming out. They can provide that anti-air. And we do have DeMusliM starting to send those command centers across the map, but like I said, like, it's going to be hard to secure that. I just don't... I mean, it's not that you can't play it the same way that you play, like, you know, in Heart of the Swarm, where, like, on Overgrowth, even though technically that 4th base, the gold, is a little farther away, you can, you know, turtle on 3 base and get the 4th, like, when you have, like, a pretty big army, and then you can throw down 11 command centers if your name's, like, Reality, I think, right? Is that the guy who did it?
Yeah, reality.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever, but.
That's
And
just
Lycan is good.
fields.
Oh my god, look at a fifth of the army just it's crunched. Blinding Cloud does not break Lycan. You can still shoot through a Blinding Cloud as long as you've locked on prior. We are not going to see any parasitic bombs, just Blinding Clouds. DeMusliM is bleeding out lots of his army every time these Cyclones come in for an attack.
Yeah. I could see where the lurkers would be really useful now, though, you know?
Yeah, you just set that location so they have to choose where to fight. And if they're busy locking onto the lurkers, then they're not shooting the roaches and the hydras, which can advance forward.
Oh god. He got the Overseer.
He also got both of the Vipers, too. So even if the Overseer was here, he wouldn't be able to do that parasitic bomb move. But I don't think he was thinking on it. Man, it's like I just want to have a sit down and a talk with all the Zergs. But like, look, I know you guys are kind of face rolling because you got it easy right now. But you gotta use your skills. I'm really not exaggerating the effectiveness either, guys. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how good parasitic bomb is. He might be confident thinking the Hydras are enough, but as we see, nothing is proven to be enough with the Cyclones being what they are.
Yeah. I would really love to see a Lurker Den. Seriously.
Yeah. 100%. I think it might actually be the only way to really contest this. To explain further, guys, Lycan's got a pretty large range via targeting optics even further, but it's still the Lurker that can match that range. So if you're at 9 range with a Cyclone and 9 range with a Lurker, you still have to run away from the Lurker, which means you're going to drop that Lycan. So, well, 1 Lurker is not going to cut it. 3 or 4 certainly would.
But he's already wasted a lot of cash, you know, being on the economy of Legacy of the Void, that getting a lot of Lurkers could be difficult. You see that neither player above 1,000 minerals, so they're starting to get there, and they're both starting to get maxed. Their upgrades are finishing up too, so 3-2 and 3-0.
Slipped off the orbital, but I missed it because the minimap was so fantastic in Legacy of the Void. My bad, guys.
It is bad.
Really
bad.
I can't begin. I just can't get into it today. I'm gonna be so salty all day if I do. Shots going off all over here, but DeMusliM is really taking no damage and constantly bleeding out his army. This is abusive and this is disgusting, and this is because this is like Julie saying, oh, you have Hellions? Let me just make Lings and nothing else. Yeah, we don't have Ultras coming out, we don't have Mutas in play, we don't have Lurkers especially. I really don't know what you do to combat this. And neither does DeMusliM evidently. I think I need to have some words with DeMusliM.
Just tell him what to do.
Yeah, that'll go over well. He'll be like, oh, thank you, No Name Caster. Would you please just shut your mouth and never message me again? Thanks.
Well, then you show him, like, your Archon series, you know, and you'd be like, look, I beat these pro gamers. I'm basically a pro gamer.
Yeah,
like,
basically. Yeah, we play like 3 Archon mode matches, and everyone's like, so when are you guys going pro? Huh? When are you going to go pro? The Queen's Transfusions, by the way, are not going to be enough because the Cyclone has so much damage, but again, so much of this comes down to DeMusliM has not made the proper units to counter it, so it looks really stupid, and I still probably would be stupid if he had made those units at this point. But like any part of StarCraft 2, once you snowball this badly, it's really hard to counter. It doesn't matter what the composition is. GG. Map number 1 goes to DeMusliM.
Who is Repham East? Is that Todd?
Repham East? I think Todd was just Yoan or something on the brackets, wasn't he?
Huh. I don't know.
We can ask Lycan to try and find out.
But he just beat Tefel 2-1.
All right, so hopping into game number 2. That's actually pretty impressive being Tefel, by the way. I think he goes on to fight against TLO, whoever that is. I've asked Lycan. I can't. I just couldn't. It had to be done. It was like telling me so you don't need an engineering bay for the turrets. Alright. Maybe Tamika's appreciates my advice, or maybe he hates me for it. I don't know. Either way, it's going to be coded for map number 2, guys. DeMusliM versus Julie. Round 2. We'll see you in a sec. All right, welcome back. Game number 2 currently underway here in the Lycan League. Spawning in the bottom right corner of the map, it's going to be the orange Zerg player Julie, better known as Tamikis.
In the upper left, as the blue Terran, it's DeMusliM, known as DeMusliM.
Don't ask DeMusliM, you are correct. Now, all things about that last game aside, one thing I do want to stress is, yes, the Cyclone is a unit that can snowball. So is a Reaper. So is anything that you just get so one-sided early on. When you're playing from a deficit, it's always hard to come back. And even from the initial engagements, Tamikis was bleeding out, 2 roaches here, then all of a sudden it was 4 roaches, then it was like 6 roaches. And as the Cyclone number increased, he never actually took any of them out. I do think maybe he thought Blinding Cloud would break Lycan. I want to stress it does not.
Well, he probably thought it would force the Cyclones forward at least. And then his units could kill him. But they just run back. That's what they do. So that didn't work out either. But maybe he'll use the lurkers now that you told him.
That's Semper on the brackets, by the way, and I'm not on busy, it would appear. How do I fix that? There we go. So Semper, the North American Terran player from Team Gravity, is the unknown player on the brackets. But DeMusliM slapping down that racks is a little bit cute, because it is just for the Reaper. It's not like there's 3 racks behind it.
And the Reaper's not even out yet, so I mean that spawn pool's gonna be finished and the Queen will come out. I guess it's not really a big deal. In fact, this TV is scared away.
But sorry, we got a loaded strike. Going back to the point for the last game though, and this is, again, this was not me stating that lurkers are the hard counter to Cyclones, but lurkers are a pretty good counter to the Hellions, which counter the Lings, which counter the Cyclones. And even then, the lurkers themselves still contend pretty well with the Cyclones. There's a lot of ways this game is meant to be danced around, but as I had said last game, if you're only making one unit that's no good versus what you're fighting, and you keep making that unit, that's like the definition of insanity, right? You keep trying the same thing, expecting different results.
Sure, yeah, that's what I heard. But for me, it's also that if you did a lurker push at the mid game, then you would have been able to do something. Like we talked about how the Muslim, he threw down 4 command centers and he was at like 104 supply.
He really shouldn't have been able to get away with that. I mean, I don't even know how much more greedy it gets than that.
Yeah, where I know that you can still max out pretty quickly on just roaches in Heart of the Swarm, or shoot, and Legacy of the Void. And I gotta imagine like adding in a couple of Ravagers, sure they'll take up some of your money and whatnot, but it's still gonna be a fairly big army. I would like to see something like that, or an actual Hydra push that's dedicated to the lurkers. I mean, you can contain fairly well with them too. Again, with the automatic range, like the lock-on was a good way to defeat it. Back, when they didn't have it, but now it's it's gonna be tricky. It's always been tricky to deal with lurker harass because you obviously need to scan. You need to scan and need the right amount of units, not clumped up going into their spines.
Yeah,
it's actually it's quite annoying.
The worst part about the lurker too, you mentioned this before, and I know we're like really dick right in the lurker here for a second. But before we get off the topic of it, you had mentioned it feels like a little bit like just lame, or like the sounds aren't as cool, the animation isn't like chunk chunk chunk, more like a smooth wave. And for that reason though, it almost makes the unit a little bit stronger because it's so deceptive. Every time I've fought the lurker, or even in the Archon mode show matches from Fantasy Day, when you guys had made, or Zervas, sorry, and Queenie had made lurkers, and we went into it, I was like, this doesn't look that dangerous. It just doesn't look dangerous. All of a sudden, your army's dead, and you're like, oh, well then, splitting does nothing. Yeah. Splitting does nothing.
It is deceptive, but for both parties. And I want the cool factor of Zerg to come back, not their stupid butts thing going on with queens and ravagers and lurkers.
Yeah, the thing that kind of actually, if I'm gonna be honest, the thing that disappoints me is the lurker model and the attack animation has been in the game forever. It's not new per se. It's just new that they've introduced the multiplayer. I was really hoping they would have something more original, like more dangerous, like chunk 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 chunk, or sound effects, or just anything really.
Yeah, they did kind of. They just used those in the original Wings of Liberty, right?
Yeah.
Those in the Wings of Liberty,
yeah. Yeah, they really phoned it in on that one, but it's still the beta, and there's a lot to be changed, and I hope the live release of the game has all this really cool new shiny-looking things. Minimap especially fixed above all else.
Just saying, just throwing it out there. We got another Hellion Banshee combo, and it's going to be paired up with an armory, so how that's going to be used. Tamikis is, dealing with this like he would in Heart of the Swarm, a couple of queens, some banelings, they got the Hellbats, hopefully. Not a big deal. But it's probably going to be mech again for DeMusliM, and as such, Tamikis will probably want to go into Roaches. You can still open up with Mutas, but Cyclones do well against them too, so that's not like your end game.
Yeah, I mean, 2-base Muta openers, Heart of the Storm, really popular. I don't think they're bad for Legacy right now either, but it is what you dedicate to beyond that. Julie, by the way, Tamikis has dedicated a lot to droning, and because of this, might not be able to too easily defend this push. 4 Queens definitely going to have to be pulled. Overseer's on the way preemptively, and if the Banelings can get some connects, that'd be great, but these aren't Hellbats, these are Hellions, and yeah, DeMuslim's just going to be able to kite those for quite some time. So, taking out that first Banshee, no transfuse on the Queen. He does have the energy for it, but DeMuslim also not focusing it down. Banelings have surprising connects. To be honest, I didn't think they would connect with any. But 5 Queens here should be enough to hold this.
Overseer, please. Yeah, there you go.
Rude boy.
Oh, but the Queen's a little clumped up, so 2 of them do go down, or they might have all been saved for a little more focus, a little micro-Ernton, but that's alright. Still leaves a couple, or 1? No, those are all from the main. Never mind. Needs to build another one, because he wants to spread the creep.
Yeah, it's going to be a little unfortunate not being able to get that creep spread the way you'd want it, but at the same time, right now for Tamikis, I think it's not so much focused on map control as it is just getting compositions right. You could have all the creep spread in the world and every single base taken, but if at the end of the day you still can't deal with Cyclones, you're still going to lose that game. Helvet's did an okay job culling most of the Lings. Banshee should be able to finish this off, but SCVs are still going to die in the process.
Yeah, the Hellions the rescue.
I think it's pretty safe to say that with this level of aggression, at least, DeMuslim's not going to get away with 4 CCs at this rate.
Yeah, he is just flooding Lings as many as he can.
It's working surprisingly well. The Hellions go down once again. Targeting optics being researched right now. Not going to be too beneficial, but it's not that expensive an upgrade.
So he's going to clean things up, and well, the Cyclones are coming out, and needs to start producing from the other factories that he has. Oh, DeMuslim! More aliens! More aliens! A couple of Banelings are gonna not. I don't know if they're really gonna do a whole lot.
There's a hole in the wall right now. He actually missed it by 1.
And he doesn't notice.
Alright, so while we wait for the attack to set up, guys, I really want to talk about the targeting optics upgrade because this is really the dynamic of what we were stretching for before. Baneling Nest is going to come down, but what this does is it increases the lock-on range to 9. I mean, you only have to be within 9 range to lock on, but the lock-on damage, like how far you can run, is still like 12 or 15, so you can go really far away. You just have to dive in and get that initial shot.
Well, it's just a little awkward, as again, he wasn't producing enough Hellions out of all the factories that were finishing off. It's the Cyclones. And they don't do that well against mass Ling, that's why you need the Hellions. So that was decent enough early game damage, and we do have Tamikis, at least, you know, he's doing something of his own behind the pressure, right? He's getting an Infestation Pits and a Spire. I don't know if he's going to try and go into, like, Broodlords?
It's kind of feeling that might be the direction, but,
Cyclone's going 1v1 a Broodlord?
Yeah!
Okay.
Yeah, they actually have enough health, they're armored units, that the Broodlings don't really matter. It was actually, I think, one of the first things we tested out at BlizzCon, too, to see if that was going to be possible.
Yeah, because it seems so powerful.
Yeah, we're like, this unit's ridiculous. What can it do? And we're like, okay, 1v1 an Ultra? Check. 1v1 a Broodlord? Check.
Yeah. You know, I do miss the Herc. I know, like their reasoning for getting rid of it was legit, but it was cool when it was used, okay? Like, it jumped.
Yeah.
Hop, hop, hop.
It's like clockwork from Dota. It was really fun to watch. I think my issue with it, though, is you can argue there's units like Reapers that are made for one purpose in the game, and they never get used beyond the first 5 minutes. You only ever have 1 or 2. Like, even if it was just, like, having the Herc for a similar purpose, it would be cool to have that unit, not just remove it.
Yeah, well. Now we're stuck with the Cyclone, and something's gonna come out at the Starport. If it's not a Valkyrie, I'm gonna be very disappointed. If they don't hire the same actress, the same voiceover actress...
Okay, what was that? I can't remember. Was it German? Was it French? Like, I remember it was like Valkyrie the Pal.
It was German. Like, I'm pretty sure it was
the thing I remember most about the Valkyrie, as we can see, by the way, this is how good Cyclones are versus Mutas. The thing I remember most about the Valkyrie was how its attack would bug out so often.
Yeah, I just remember, like, the sounds of this was like, not that I could replicate it, but... We have quite a big attack, or I guess a medium-sized attack, we'll call it, from DeMuslim. A little scared of all the Lings.
If DeMuslim turns half of these into Hellbats with Blue Flame, he's got no problem dealing with this. The question, of course, comes down to the Mutas, but there's enough Cyclones to lock onto most of the Mutas, and the Banshees should be able to bridge the gap with the rest. But it was going to be melee upgrades, is going to be melee upgrades. Continue to go forward here with Adrenal Glands. We got Ultra's Cavern coming down too. Ultras can get insane amounts of armor now, for those who don't know. But the Cyclones do outrun them, and you can kite all day if done correctly.
It's kind of a cool micro trick right there. And he does have to hold his 4th position until those Ultras are out, and it's going to get to very difficult. He's running out of money. He's not having the Ling floods that he used to. He's actually just left with the Mutas here. That's not good.
Yeah. Small shout out to Rage Kitty for resubbing, by the way. Thanks for coming back. The Mutas are... Okay, the Mutas bleeding out sucks. There's actually no reason to really lose these at all, but without that threat in the front line, DeMusliM just pushes through Lings and Lings and more Lings. So, Fungal Growth is going to be kind of cool. Cyclones have too much health for it to really be effective on its own. 200 health is a lot of health. But they will hold them in place, ideally for the Lings to actually get connected, to actually get involved with that fight. But the Banshees still need to be dealt with, and that's where the Mutas really come into play. Does pick up 1, almost gets 2, but he can't dive in too deep to this. That's a lot of Cyclones. Lock-on going to come off cooldown in about 1 second for most of these. And all those Mutas, if they get targeted, are going to die. Yeah,
and you can't really chase. You just can't chase Cyclones, man. There's too many of them. There's too many to lock on to cover for everyone else's inability to lock on. And there goes the 4th base. There goes all the drones there, too.
I mean, he's really trying not to force the issue to make his studies, and that's smart, but he is getting to the point where he's been putting a lot of pressure. He's put in a bad situation. While there are Ultras coming out, they're only on the way, and I don't know if they'll be able to save these drones. There's no burrow, and even if it was, their scans going like crazy. Where are those Ultras? They're like seconds for finishing, and this base is going to die. These drones are going to... Oh, no. Oh, no. No, 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 no.
3 Ultras isn't going to be enough anyways against the Cyclones.
No, it's not. And this is, again, part of why I really am advocating lurker play over this, because you get them out so much sooner. And once again, DeMusliM's at this point in the game, this stride where he has snowballed, and it's almost impossible to beat. You know, kind of taking a note from the Ruler Infestor days, where everyone would say the only way to beat that is to stop it from happening in the first place.
Yeah, that's what everyone did say.
Let's see, the Ultras and Mutas. It's like there was a Thor in there, but not really. He just single targeted 8 different things. Game